Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about Visit to the Unknown from Tensei Shitara Slime Talk, and so without any ado let's begin. Visit to the Unknown, 15 Dragon Armor Part 1. V.E. Felder. Carmen awoke to the sound of his own screaming. That arrogant man who always acted so familiar. He had been dreaming of Feldera, being swallowed up by hellfire. Heh. That's not like me. Maybe I've been depending on him more than I thought. Carmen muttered as he remembered the situation they had been in. This was not the time to be worrying about others. They themselves were in a precarious situation. And so Carmen dismissed all thoughts of Feldera from his mind. There is no point in worrying about that man now. It seems that the sixth tyrant has already been activated. That devil's roar had boomed far off in the distance. It was the sound of immense energy running wild after it had been sealed in an ether ring barrier. The barrier was stretching and affecting the space outside of it. With such a terrifying weapon in front of him, even Feldera would not be able to do anything. That's what Carmen thought, but he did not voice it. But maybe Feldera would, surely he could. There was just a little hope left in his heart. And he felt that voicing his doubts would erase the last of that hope. And so Carmen turned his attention towards the taking in of his surroundings. It seemed that he had only lost consciousness for a short time. According to the clock in his brain, 3 minutes had not passed since they crashed into the ground. While he checked the time, he also learned of his condition. Are you serious? He couldn't help but mutter. All clear. Those were the words that were displayed in his head. The numbers were supposed to appear in red to show damage, but now they were all blue. There was no problem. Carmen was shocked at this unbelievable durability. He now knew that he was all right, but what about the others? He thought as he looked around. Then he discovered them. They were still unconscious. Hey, you guys. Are you okay? He called. And they groaned. While they had moderate injuries, it seemed that they were all safe. Ouch. It doesn't actually hurt at all. It's times like these that I'm happy to be a complete cyborg. But then again, you require maintenance over the smallest things. Mr. Zaza tried to hide it, but it seemed like all sorts of functions had been shut down. He would not have lasted much longer had Feldera not modified him. That's true. However, it was all for nothing. You idiot. Don't say such a thing. Mr. Feldera is with them. They are surely all right. Carmen shouted and they all quieted down. Then they looked at each other and nodded. Yes. You're right. It's too early to give up. We have to do what we can. Now, let's go and find the powered suits. Carmen ordered, and they all moved at once. No one asked, what if they are broken? Finding a method of travel was absolutely necessary for them to leave this wasteland that was full of danger. If they could not do that, then they would have to wait to be rescued. For that reason, they would at least have to find a means of communication. The powered suits were likely broken. However, if they gathered the remains of the ship and its equipment, they might find a way out of their predicament. That's what Carmen thought. They all knew him well, and so they guessed at what his intention was. However, they stopped again, shortly after moving. I'm so glad I came to have a look, just in case. To think that not a single one of you has died. You are pretty tough for vermin. Yes, what a surprise. According to my data, there was a 99.9% chance of all of you dying. It's impossible that you all survived. So, Mr. Carmen. What sort of trick did you use? A threat had appeared before them in no time. Jejil and Riaz. And their men were now in front of them. Tisk. Back to square one. Carmen spat. It had clearly been too early for relief. You're right about that, Riaz. Carmen. I am quite interested in your body now. Perhaps the science behind it is more advanced than I thought. You must come to the city with us. Ha. So you can slaughter and dissect us. Or we could kill you here and bring your bodies back, if you prefer. If you'll come willingly, we will spare you your lives. Jejil said with an expression that looked honest enough. However, Carmen laughed at her. Do you take us for fools? There is no reason for you to keep us alive. You're just trying to trick us, and spare yourself a fight. Aren't you? I can tell by your eyes. You don't see us as humans. If you're going to kill us anyway, then I'll fight until the end. We'll show you what we're made of. Carmen and his men shouted in answer. Jejil heard this, and the smile disappeared from her face. This is all very hard to understand. You people are most strange. Yes, Jejil. Let's just get this over with and kill them. Riaz was no longer smiling either. He looked at Carmen and his men with a cold, appraising look. Alien. Yes, Jejil and Riaz were not human. They may have had the appearance, but they were bionoids. The fight started abruptly. However, it wasn't Carmen and his men that were attacked. It was Jejil and her men. Gigantic life forms had suddenly appeared and attacked them. Super beasts. Here's our chance. Let's hide. No, it was surely just a coincidence. The super beasts must have heard the explosion of the ship and come down to search for prey. However, this ended up saving Carmen's life. They used that moment when Jejil's attention had been diverted, and they hid in the remains of the ship. All of you. Did you turn your power off? Of course. These hidden cyborg features sure are useful. Good. Now let's go and find the powered suits. They said through thought transmission. In regards to the search, Carmen and his men had an idea of how to go about it. As the machines could be controlled remotely, each of them were connected to their machines through a special thought wave. There was no guarantee that it would still work, but they had hope. And so they hid and worked quietly. On the other hand, Jejil and her men. They were struggling against the pack of super beasts. Had the ship still been intact, they would not have been attacked by the beasts. And even if they were, the thing had a high-power beam cannon installed. And so they wouldn't have had much trouble in dealing with the enemy. However, Jejil and her men had no such weapons. Of course, bionoids had tremendous strength as anti-cyborg weapons, but they had no methods of attack that covered a wide area. That was their weakness. The plasma cannon was used against single human enemies. It could not deal a lethal blow to a super beast. The super beast's ability to regenerate was too strong. While the bionoids would now lose, it would take a very long time to kill all of the super beasts. Jejil understood this. We're being hindered by mere purification devices. Jejil shouted as she kicked the head of one super beast. Then she fired off a round of plasma bullets that were a meter in diameter. Jejil and Riaz had enough firepower to kill them. And so eventually, they used the other men as bait, and then Jejil and Riaz would attack. Even while they fought, Jejil's eyes were searching for Carmen and the others. While they had disappeared behind the remains of the ship, she had not given up the chase. These wastelands were filled with rocks and cliffs. With enough time, they might actually be able to escape. She couldn't imagine they would live for very long without being able to receive maintenance or replenish their energy. There was no way they could communicate with others either. Still, she could not underestimate how tenacious Carmen and his men were. They were seasoned warriors and she could not allow them to run free. That was Jejil's decision. She was annoyed. As she was based on a human, she still had emotions. However, not to the point where it would affect the mission. That was a feature of bionoids. And so Jejil dealt with the super beasts calmly and systematically. She would follow Carmen when they were done. Carmen had realized this. He had left the search to his men while he watched the battlefield. As he and his men used Vision Link, he had a wide range of sight. It was an unbelievable feature, but Carmen was able to use it without hesitation. That was the difference between him and Zaza. Carmen did not worry or think too hard about everything. And in Carmen's vision, was a very familiar monster. That one. He muttered under his breath so no one else could hear. A great serpent with a red head. The one that Feldera had defeated. It had become humanoid after that. Continue the search. I have some minor business to attend to. Captain. Surely you don't mean to. It's too dangerous. Shouldn't you hide here quietly? As his men could see what he was looking at, they had an idea of what he was going to do. They frantically tried to stop him, but Carmen shook his head. You may be right. But I can't abandon that one. After all, what if? What if that super beast had been his lover? He couldn't say it, but Carmen's resolve was strong. I'm leaving the rest to you. Carmen told them before rushing out. He went around so that the enemy could not locate him. Then he disappeared into the shadow of some rocks. His men quickly pulled themselves together and returned to their work. They would do what they could at the moment. That was the only way to get out of this danger. Then, just as Jejil had created a great sphere of plasma and was about to unleash it at the head of the great serpent. I won't let you. Carmen jumped out and blocked it with his ether ring barrier. Carmen's arrival was very sudden, but Jejil was not fazed. Riaz was the same. His reaction suggested he had anticipated this. Tisk. I thought you might be a little surprised. Carmen joked. Jejil snorted. Hee. As if I wouldn't notice you when you are so close by. We were also looking at you all along. But you know what did surprise me? That you would try and protect a super beast. A tool. A mere purification device. I thought you were going to launch a surprise attack. But well, you did ruin my attack just now. Jejil had known that Carmen was approaching. And so Riaz had intended on shooting Carmen while he was targeting Jejil. It would be difficult to follow and shoot someone who was moving faster than the speed of sound. And so he had to predict where Carmen would move and shoot in advance. And he had predicted wrongly. Carmen hadn't gone for Jejil. Instead, he had protected the super beast. Even Riaz could not have foreseen that. Heh. Sorry about that. But I have my reasons too. I swore to protect my lover. And I don't want to break my promise ever again. At this, the great serpent with the red head seemed to react. It wasn't much. In fact, no one even noticed it. But it was almost as if it understood Carmen's words. But Jejil, on the other hand, did not understand Carmen at all. Are you stupid? What does that have to do with this super beast over here? Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe for more content.